Mr. Chair, we now have a quorum. If you would like to start the meeting, thank you very much.
All right. Good morning and welcome to the first meeting of the year. This is a condensed meeting since the January meeting was canceled due to the snow events across the region. This meeting is being recorded. First is our public participation opportunity where we offer the public a chance to speak to the board. If anyone has any comments on any of the action items, please wait for that item to be discussed. If there's anyone who wishes to address the board at this time, please indicate in the chat box. Todd, is there anyone available?
Chair and board, there was no one who requested to speak prior to the meeting. Currently, I'm not seeing anyone requesting to speak in the chat box.
All right, thank you. So we now move on to our action items. Todd, can you please present the first action item?
Yes, 1 second while I load up the presentation. Cindy, today Cindy Birch from the Baltimore Metropolitan Council is going to present on Resolution 26-18. This is to endorse updates to 5 highway safety performance targets. Cindy, could you take it away?
Great, thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm going to briefly go through some updates on our crash data and present some targets for your consideration. So on the screen now, you can just see these are our most recent 5 years of complete data. There was an announcement yesterday with good news about the 2025 crash fatality numbers, and I'll address that later on in the presentation. But for the purposes of our target setting, we're going through 2024 as the most complete year and officially closed out data. So you can see the Baltimore region figures on the top, the state figures on the bottom. We both saw decreases in fatalities and some slight increases in injuries and serious injuries. This is just a graphic representation. So you can see that we did see a nice decline in fatalities. The state is the red bar on the top and BMC region is going to be on the bottom in blue. This is those serious injury patterns. You can see that increase. It's really hard from the data to tease out. Those could potentially be those saved fatalities, and they are just less severe crashes, so they result in injuries as opposed to deaths. It's kind of hard to say. It might also just be some changes in reporting and better accuracy to the level of injury severity, but we did see this slight increase. The fifth measure is non-motorist fatalities and serious injuries. So they put these two together, fatalities and serious injuries together. And these are your bicyclists, pedestrians, anyone outside or off of a vehicle are these non-motorists. And we saw a slight decline there. And just to break that out further, you can see here the yellow bar at the bottom are fatalities of non-motorized persons, and the blue bars are the serious injuries. So you can see, even though that was a slight decline, we did have about a 10% decline in fatalities if you look at those yellow bars from 2023 to 2024. So we're not quite back down to our previous levels yet, but we are showing progress when it comes to non-motorized fatalities, which is good. Just to give you a brief perspective on our region, overall within the state, we have about half of the crashes, half of the serious injuries, but only 40% of the fatalities, which is good. We want to bring those other numbers down too. We don't want any serious injuries. We want as few crashes as possible, but we are underrepresented in the fatalities statewide, which is good. And we have about 46% of the state's vehicle miles traveled for our exposure. So why I'm here today talking to you guys about all of this, it's in federal regulations so the state sets performance targets for 5 different measures every year in their Highway Safety Improvement Program report. And then MPOs have to do the same within 180 days. We do have options whether we adopt the state targets or set our own. In years past, since this began back in January 2018, the BRTB opted to use the state target setting methodology, but apply it to our own numbers. So we're looking at our more realistic numbers within the region instead of adopting those larger state numbers. So what the state used for their HSIP submission earlier in 2025, they took it's a 5-year rolling average that's dictated by the federal regs. So they take the 2005 to 2009 average, and then they did an exponential forecast. They took all of the available data points and projected them out. If that projected an increasing trend, they don't want to set higher targets. So they apply a 2% annual reduction. So that's what we've been using for the past 5 years. The state's been using that methodology. So we take that again, apply it to the figures I just showed you for our region, and we set those 5 specific targets. Those are the number of fatalities, number of serious injuries, fatality rate per vehicle miles traveled, serious injury rate per vehicle miles traveled, and then those non-motorist fatalities and serious injuries combined. So this is what we come out to, just to show you where our starting point was. We have that 2005 to 2009 baseline. I don't have all of the graphs on here to show you for each one of them, but using that methodology, it would set the targets on the right-hand side over here for the 2022 to 2026 5-year average, and then our goal for 2030. So you can see here something like the fatalities are the same number because it's been such a slight decrease over that time. It is a decreasing trend, but it's slight. So to get to those two, the target and the goal are very close together time-wise, so they end up being the same. And then you can see the different rates. And then here you can see, just to show you our changes from 2023 to 2024, we showed that progress in fatalities and non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. And finally, for reference down here at the bottom, you can see what our vehicle miles traveled were. We've been rebounding since the pandemic time. And again, we saw a slight increase between 2023 and 2024 in VMTs. And we're back above what that baseline was back in 2005, 2009. So this is just one to show you. I want to point out a special case we had this year with this. So this is the fatality rate. So this is the number of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. You can see how it's fluctuated over time, starting down here with this 2005 to 2009 baseline. It resulted in a flat trend. So it wasn't increasing or decreasing. So in this case, we at the technical committee meeting a couple weeks ago, we talked about this, and the recommendation was to apply that 2% annual reduction. Even though it wasn't technically a decrease, I'm sorry, it wasn't technically an increasing trend. It was not a decreasing trend. So, and I apologize for that typo. It's a recommendation to apply the reduction similar to when we have increasing trends. That way it's setting some type of aspirational goal. It's not just maintaining the current level, if that makes sense. So this was a very flat thing. It would have had the same target and goal. The recommendation is to apply a reduction so we can see that. So again, that's where you can see it here. This is your fatality rate in this middle row. You can see while the target is 0.90, the goal is 0.85. That way it shows a reduction. Okay, so these are the figures that are being proposed for this resolution this year. Just as a little point of reference, here's the state trends for the past 2 years. They saw similar patterns as the region, which makes sense. They had a decrease in fatalities, but an increase in serious injuries, and the same thing with their rates. So here's the good news that some of you may have seen on the news yesterday coming from the MDOT MVA administrator. The state in 2025 saw about an 18% reduction in fatalities, and we did here as well in the region. So we're very excited. There may still be a couple of slight changes as some other reports still come in. I don't think it'll take us till August or September to get a final number like it had been in many years ago, but There may be some slight fluctuations, but you can see here we saw some great reductions in our big hitters in Anne Arundel County, in Baltimore City, in Howard County. So really driving those numbers down. So we're trying to figure out, both at the state level and also with a lot of your teams out there in the region, what is contributing to this decrease so we can continue that work and advance it and hopefully keep this trend going. And these figures are as of yesterday, so they're the most recent we have. So what have we been doing that we're hoping has had an impact on that? We have been doing more recently with all of your local strategic highway safety plans, Vision Zero plans, everything that's going on there, and incorporating more with the MDOT State Highway Administration, their pedestrian safety action plan corridors, their vulnerable road user assessment corridors and locations, really trying to collaborate more with that. And a lot of those projects are starting to come to fruition and be implemented, which is great. We continue with the Look Alive campaign for pedestrian and bicycle outreach. We've started putting advertisements up on some of the local transit vehicles in Howard and Anne Arundel counties and really trying to expand that reach. We're trying to expand public engagement. We're engaging more with the State Vision Zero team. Some of you may have already heard from me. When they look at fatal crashes on state roadways and review them, when they happen in your jurisdiction, we're reaching out to see if there's any input, if you want to participate in that quarterly meeting and try to really make that connection even stronger for those case reviews to bring about improvements. And lastly, we just kicked off a new project. A lot of your team members have helped support that, is to look at telematics data and how we can try and bring that into your safety planning to really enhance it beyond just crash data, but get some more behavioral data like speeding or hard braking or things like that that are more behavioral but not crash related, not resulting in a crash, so we can see what happens and try and prevent those crashes. So some exciting things going on to hopefully further that decline. A real quick shout out to Harford County and Baltimore City. Them and their partners got Safe Streets and Roads for All awards this year. They were announced at the end of December. So just to enhance their local safety plans and keep driving those efforts forward. We anticipate one more round of Safe Streets and Roads for All, the announcement to come out in the spring. So we'll be hearing more about that. And then hopefully, as the transportation bill reauthorization comes into effect, hopefully Safe Streets and Roads for All or some form of it continues in the next bill. And lastly, just want to remind you, we do have crash data dashboards up on the BMC website. They get updated at the beginning of every month. So they were just updated this past week through everything through January for your use, for your planning. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me or anyone at BMC and we can get you some data for that. That's my contact information and that's all I have for you today. So I will flip back to the resolution slide so everybody can see it. Don't mind my flipping, sorry.
With that, Mr. Chair, we ask the BRTB to consider Resolution 26-18, endorsing updates to the 5 highway safety performance targets.
All right, thank you. And I ask a member to move for approval of the resolution and a second.
Queen Anne's County.
Go ahead.
Queen Anne's County will make a motion to approve.
Baltimore City will second.
All right, thank you. That was Queen Anne and for the move in Baltimore City for the second. Thank you. Does any BRTB member have any questions or comments on the highway safety performance measures? All right, hearing none, we now ask if any member of the public has any questions or comments on the resolution. For those online, please indicate you would like to comment in the chat box. Todd, does any member of the public ask to speak?
Mr. Chair and Board, currently there is no one requesting to speak on this resolution.
All right, thank you. We will now proceed to the vote. Again, with cameras on, when Rebecca reads your name, please indicate yea or nay.
Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
thank you. Baltimore City,
Aye.
Baltimore County, Carroll County, Harford County,
Aye.
thank you. Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT,
Aye.
and RTA of Central Maryland.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. The resolution has passed. Next action item, excuse me, next action item, please.
Certainly, today the BRTB is going to look at Resolution 26-20. Just for your information, Resolution 26-19 for Harford County Bridge has been deferred to the February 24th meeting. So today the BRTB is being asked to consider this Resolution 26-20 on behalf of the Maryland Transportation Authority, who is requesting to add a new project to the TIP. This action will be introduced by Ms. Nicole Condell. Nicole, will you take it over, please?
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much. As noted, this is a resolution 26-20. An MDTA project is requested to be added to the TIP, a new project in the TIP. While it is not does not involve federal funding, it's funded through tolls, but it is regionally significant and thus needs to be added to the TIP. This project was approved by IHCG earlier this month as exempt from conformity analysis because right now we're adding planning funds to the TIP. We have Miss Melissa Williams here to present the details of the project, and I will pass the mic over to her. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. Next slide, please. Good morning. As Nicole said, I'm Melissa Williams. I'm the Director of Planning and Program Development at MDTA. Thank you for inviting me to come here today to present this project to you. Real brief overview. I'm pretty certain that everyone in the room has heard of the Bay Crossing Study, our Tier 2 NEPA project, but just a real quick overview of what the purpose of this project is. And the purpose, of course, is to address the existing and future transportation capacity needs and access across the Chesapeake Bay at the existing Chesapeake Bay Bridge. We are looking at measures to reduce congestion, improve travel times and reliability, mobility, address roadway deficiencies, and accommodate maintenance activities and navigation while we minimize impacts to the local communities and our environment. Next slide, please. Here we have our project schedule. You can see we're pretty far along the road here. We began the project in June of 22, and by initiating NEPA, initiating the Tier 2 process, and we are looking to complete the planning phase of this project in November of this year. It's been very exciting. It's been a long ride. I'm going to have to put a shameless plug out. Next week, we do have our public hearings for the project. At the public hearings, we will be sharing the DEIS as well as the alternatives, the 6 build alternatives and the 1 no build alternative with detailed engineering and environmental information about all of those. In addition, we will be sharing MDTA's recommended preferred alternative. So essentially, just to clarify what that is, you will be seeing all 7 alternatives with the same level of engineering and environmental analysis conducted. However, MDTA will be indicating the alternative that we believe best meets the purpose and need for the project. We announced that back in December when MDTA's board selected Alternative C, which is the alternative that has 1 new bridge south of the existing bridges, 1 new bridge between where the 2 existing bridges are, remove the existing bridges, and there would be 4 lanes in each direction on the bridge with modifications to the approach roads. It's a little bit of a spoiler there, but that is what we will be presenting. I would like to just quickly share on Monday, the 9th, we will be having the virtual meeting. So baycrossingstudy.com, you can log on, watch the virtual meeting that begins at 6 o'clock. And on Tuesday, we'll be in Anne Arundel County at Broadneck High School. And on Thursday, we will be in Queen Anne's County at Kent Island High School. 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock will be a traditional workshop style where you have display boards and staff available to ask questions. And then the formal presentation followed by public elected official and public testimony will begin at 6 o'clock and go perhaps until 8 o'clock or later as needs be. During that 6 to 8 p.m. time, we will still have staff available to answer questions, but we encourage everyone to participate in the actual hearing itself. Following planning, as I said, which we are hoping will be completed in November of 2026, we would then be looking to move into design, followed by construction. Our, I don't want to say best guess, that doesn't sound right, but our hypothesis is that we would be able to move forward with construction activities beginning in 2032. Next slide, please. So as Nicole said, we did present to the ICG in January. And we'll be back in the spring requesting the TIP plan amendment, and where we will be adding engineering funds to the TIP. Those engineering funds will essentially be for the transition period from planning into design and into engineering and getting us started on engineering activities. So we'll have much more information about that as we move forward. Truly, we are still developing our plan of how we're going to move forward and how we're going to propose a method that we can move forward with the design for the bridges. As you can see, we have $7 million that has been added. That is in the program for planning for fiscal year 2026. And yes, that says Heather Lowe. I apologize. Heather did the ICG presentation, and I forgot to change the name. I apologize for that. Again, I am Melissa Williams. You can contact me at Heather's information. We sit next door to each other. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present.
Thank you. And with this, we now ask the BRTB to consider Resolution 26-20. Mr. Chair?
All right, thank you. I now ask a member to move for approval of the resolution and a second.
Hartford County moves for approval.
Howard seconds it. All right, that was Hartford County for the move, and Howard County seconded. Thank you. Does any BRT member have any questions or comments on the resolution? We now ask if any member of the public has any questions or comments.
I'm sorry, Trey. Mr. Chair, I do have a question. Melissa, can you repeat the virtual meeting information?
Sure. It is on Monday, and it's about 6 to 8 o'clock at night. If you go to Bay Crossing Study, you'll find the link there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we now ask if there's any member of the public has any questions or comments on the resolution. For those online, please indicate you would like to comment in the chat box. Todd, is any member of the public asked to speak?
Mayor and board, currently there is no member of the public requesting to speak on this resolution.
All right, thank you. We'll now proceed to the vote. Again, with the cameras on, when Rebecca reads your name, please indicate aye or nay.
See, Rebecca, I think you may be muted.
Hi, I apologize. I had a little glitch with my computer there for a second, so I'm very sorry about that. But I'm ready if you are to complete the voting.
Yes, please go ahead with voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City,
Aye.
Baltimore County, Carroll County, Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT,
Aye.
RTA of Central Maryland.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. The resolution has passed.
you.
Next action item, please.
Today, the BRTB is being asked to consider Resolution 26-21. This will be considering a request from Baltimore City to update the scope of a current TIP project. I believe we're going to Nicole Condole to introduce Miss May Hanslick on the details, who will give us details on this project. If not, we will go directly to May, but either Nicole or May.
I'll just jump in real quick here and just note that this project is also has been also presented to the ICG as exempt and approved as exempt from air quality analysis. And this is an existing project in the TIP that funds are being added to. Thank you so much. And I'll pass the mic over to May.
Excellent. Thanks, Nicole. Good morning, everyone. My name is May Hanslick. I'm a transportation planner here at Baltimore City's Department of Transportation, and I'm here to talk about the TIP amendment to the Washington Street Bikeway and Traffic Calming Project. Next slide, please. A little bit of background on what this project is. This project is a 2.1-mile corridor here in Baltimore City on the east side of the city. So it's located on Washington Street from Sinclair Lane, which is up near Clifton Park, all the way down to Alice Anna, about in the harbor area. This project will include a 2.1-mile cycle track on the west side of the street. It will upgrade about 200 ADA ramps. It will improve and rehab 16 signalized intersections along the corridor, as well as install 10 bus boarding bulbs and corresponding bus paths to improve transit efficiency. Our goals for this project are to reduce speeding, improve safety, and expand multimodal connections, as this project will intersect with a number of separated facilities within the city. Current status of this project is that we have completed 95% design and are in the process of integrating comments from our reviewers. We received NEPA PCE in December 2025, just a couple of months ago, and we also received a HSIP award for construction at that same time. Next slide. We're seeking a TIP amendment for this project to make sure that that it includes the necessary construction funding for this and to accurately update our local matching funds. So specifically, because we got the HSIP award, we want to add in the federal award into the TIP, as well as the corresponding matching funds. We also would like to reallocate funds from TIP ID 12121807, which is our citywide traffic signals intelligent transportation system and safety improvements project, to help cover the cost of construction on this. And since it is achieving the similar goals as what that TIP project is set out to do, we're doing it through the 16 signalized intersections. And then we're also just updating the project title, since we're now focused exclusively on Washington, whereas in the beginning this was a study of both Wolf, which is the corresponding north-south one-way pair, and we're just focusing on Washington now. And the estimated total cost, which has increased from 5.76 to 12 million, about 12 million, as we've gone through the design process. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
With this, Mr. Chair, we now ask the board to consider Resolution 26-21.
Thank you. I now ask a member to move for approval of the resolution and a second. Howard County moves.
Baltimore County seconds.
All right, that was Howard County and Baltimore County. Thank you. Does any BRTB member have any questions or comments on the resolution? All right, we now ask if any member of the public has any questions or comments on the resolution. For those online, please indicate you would like to comment in the chat box. Todd, is there any member of the public asked to speak?
Chair and board, currently there is no one requesting to speak on this resolution.
All right, thank you. We now proceed to the vote. Again, with cameras on, when Rebecca reads your name, please indicate aye or nay.
Annapolis, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore
Aye.
City.
Aye.
Thank you. And that was Baltimore City also?
Aye.
Thank you. Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County, Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
MDOT,
Aye.
and RTA of Central Maryland.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. The resolution has passed. Now on to informational items. We have Mr. Drew Morrison, Senior Policy Advisor at the Maryland Department of Transportation, who will present proposed legislation regarding highway safety.
Great. Thank you so much. Good to see everyone. I'm also joined by April Muller from State Highway Administration, and we're very excited to talk to you about MDOT's overall initiative around Serious About Safety and how we're focused on that in the 2026 session. And I'll talk a little bit about, what the Serious About Safety initiative is. I think this is a really nice connection with the first presentation that we had, talking about the safety data. And this is really going to be about how MDOT has been working collectively across our modes and with leadership at the Secretary's office to make sure that we are bending the curve. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So we want to provide the safest transportation network in the nation. Maryland is a Vision Zero state, and at MDOT, we are committed to that goal. And as you all may know well, under state law, the goal is to eliminate all vehicle-related deaths and serious injuries by 2030. You saw the data earlier. That's going to be a challenge. And so we know that too many lives are still lost on Maryland roadways, and we want to try to expedite progress. We want to take bold action, working with regional leaders like you to make sure that we are really hitting our mark. And we were very pleased to see the 2025 data that was shared earlier, where we did achieve an 18% reduction. There's more work to do, but I think we do feel that some of this coordinated activity that we've done as a department, that we've worked on with locals like you, has really helped us to make some progress in the state, particularly coming out of some of the challenges that we saw in the post-pandemic road environment. So more work to do, but I think we're starting to see some real progress. And so we want to talk about how we do that greater work. Next slide, please. And, part of what galvanizes our work is an understanding of the real impact that inaction on safety has on our communities, on our residents. So the chart on the right is something that we saw one of our peer state DOTs do at a conference and was really intriguing to us, and we replicated that analysis here in Maryland. And I'd actually start with the far right of the chart. And this is basically the economic cost from inaction on different transportation policy goals. So state of good repair, everybody knows that you don't love to drive over a road where it's got potholes. That's not great for your car. And the costs of state of good repair, you can see there, it's about $3 billion overall in terms of impact. You look at congestion costs, right? That time wasted sitting in traffic, that has an impact. But if you count up all of the impacts of safety incidents in terms of the impacts to people who are injured, or maybe the impact to their families if there's a fatality, the impact in terms of insurance and the cars getting damaged damaged and having to be replaced. That has a real impact economically on Marylanders, in addition to the very human element that safety incidents cause. So we want to be focused on this as a human, community-focused effort and as an economic imperative for Marylanders in this moment of affordability challenges around cost of living. Safety helps us address some of those concerns as well. And so the Serious About Safety campaign that we're working on has 4 different pillars. The first are MDOT-led initiatives. That's making sure we're really advancing safety in our policy work, in the projects that we advance. And we've been very excited with the resources that we received in the last legislative session, thanks to the leadership of Governor Moore and the legislature, to really reinvest in our safety portfolio. And we have a great set of safety projects being advanced all throughout the state. We know that we would like to have more tools, and that's where legislative action comes in, and we'll talk about some of those tools that we're looking to add to the toolbox. But we also want to engage collaboratively with stakeholders like you about how we can advocate at the regional, the local, the statewide level to continue to make progress. And I'll talk about some more of that work that will be coming up in a moment. And then we want to make sure that we're continuing to tell the story of safety with our stakeholders. So you'll see a lot of messaging and branding from the department focus on the Serious About Safety tagline. And that's really an effort to bring together all the great work that we do across our modes on safety in a way that's legible and clear so that you understand and the average person on the street understands how we're trying to tie different safety efforts together. Next. And so I'll talk through 3 bills that are the core of our safety package. I'll be helped along the way by April to talk about the bill that the State Highway Administration is advancing. So the first bill is around automated enforcement reciprocity. So today we have a little bit of an uneven ability to enforce automated enforcement citations. So if there's a citation that's issued to an out-of-state driver, we don't have that same ability at the Motor Vehicle Administration to flag that driver for unpaid citations in the way that we do when they're an in-state driver. So we know that in our regions where people are commuting here, maybe from Pennsylvania or Delaware, in the DC area, from Maryland in the District of Columbia, that our collective efforts around automated enforcement aren't having the same impact that we would like because we don't have that ability to make sure that the whole region's drivers are really paying their penalties and being responsive to what we want to do with these citations, which is make sure that that citation you have to pay results in a change in behavior. And so there's been a lot of regional interest in both the DC and Baltimore area on making sure we're able to have a fairer, clearer, more consistent system. And this would give the Motor Vehicle Administrator the ability to enter into agreements with other jurisdictions for reciprocal enforcement of out-of-state violations. So if we identify a Pennsylvania driver or a DC driver that hasn't paid, and similarly, if one of those jurisdictions has identified a flag on an automated speed enforcement citation of a Maryland driver who's been driving inappropriately, we would be able to coordinate on that. And this would be focused on speed and red light camera enforcement. So that's the first bill that we're highlighting today, and I'll pass over to April to talk about the next bill. And I think thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is April Moeller. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the State Highway Administration. I am here to speak about HB 256. It did just drop in the Senate as well as SB 487. It does have a hearing the same date, same time as the House. So we are working out scheduling for that. This is the Vulnerable Roadway User Automated Speed Enforcement. This bill authorizes SHA to place automated speed enforcement on state highways. It does follow the federal guidelines implemented by the IIJA with multiple layers of data. We did have this bill introduced last year by a private sponsor. It did not pass through JPR. We did hear some feedback last year from local jurisdictions, and which we added a a piece of the puzzle to allow local jurisdictions to place speed cameras on the roadways if they had an authorized program. So we did not want to double up or take the cameras from them. We just want to partner to increase safety on those roadways. We also implemented the tiered fine system that was passed last year to keep it in line with the other programs. And then we also followed the Data Protection Act that was passed last year as well, to ensure that all of our users were safe and we have all the privacy for the citations.
Great, thanks, April. And I'll highlight that both that bill and the bill I was speaking to around automated speed enforcement reciprocity have House hearings coming up on the 12th, and that's next Thursday. So, as members of the board here are interested in supporting the legislation, we welcome that support when we come around next week. The third piece of legislation that has had its bill hearings in both the Senate and the House has to do with the Ignition Interlock program. The Motor Vehicle Administration is really proud of the progress that we've been able to make around Ignition Interlock as a critical tool for making sure that we are addressing drunk driving and that challenge that it places on safety on our roadways. And so we really want to make sure that Ignition Interlock is a clear and easy to access tool when folks, face that challenge. And so what the Ignition Interlock bill that we have this year would do, it would allow more MVA customers to access the Interlock program in place of a license suspension or revocation. It would remove a barrier that exists today for adults who have an interlock, have a impaired driving citation. So it would make it easier for more drivers to access the Ignition Interlock program. And we just see that as a continued evolution and implementation of that effort by the Motor Vehicle Administration. So I'll move forward here. And so that's really the legislative focus that we have at this moment, highlighting these three core bills, which taken together, we think create a fairer, clearer approach, working across state lines to make sure automated speed enforcement is effective, making sure that we're focusing automated speed enforcement in a statewide strategy around our vulnerable road user corridors, and making sure we continue to implement successfully the Ignition Interlock program that we think has a major role to play in addressing impaired driving. We're continuing to work outside of the legislative space. We're working on the issue of Virginia tags, and the Motor Vehicle Administration's been working very closely with the Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles to send information to vehicles that we believe are improperly registered to seek to get more appropriate registration of vehicles. We've been implementing roadway safety programs. We have some great projects in the Pedestrian Safety Action Plan corridors. We've been doing more quick build safety projects supported by the funds provided by the legislature and the governor's funding bill for transportation. So we've really been able to make more progress out on our roadways. We are also looking to update our speed management policies at the State Highway Administration, which helps us set and implement speeds on our roadways more consistent with what we want to see in those specific context-specific environments. So we make sure that we are bringing down speeds through appropriate design strategies, policy approaches that help create safer roadways. As I mentioned, we're focused on safety branding and the Serious About Safety tagline to bring together all of the acronyms and projects and efforts that you see so that the public can understand all the different ways that we're working together to address safety. And the last piece that we'll be excited to engage members on here as we come out of session will be on what we call our change makers cohort. We know we at MDOT can't do everything. BRTB has been a great leader on safety. You individually, as counties and jurisdictions, have been making a lot of progress. We want to bring everyone together following session, talk about where we have progress, talk about where we need more local support, things the state can help partner with you on, and knowing that we have to all work together to achieve that fundamental goal of 0 deaths on the road. So this is our Serious About Safety information. If you're interested in the larger campaign that we're working on, April and I are available to take any questions now about the legislative package that you may have. We appreciate any support that you can provide, and we appreciate continuing to work with you on our goals around safety.
All right, April, Drew, thank you very much. Were there any questions on the board? All right, thank you again. So before we ask if there's any other business on behalf of BRTB, I would like to recognize Regina Ayers for all of her outstanding years of service to the BRTB and the region. She has recently retired, and we want to thank her and wish her the best. We have presented something, a token of our appreciation to her already. So, Regina, if you would have any words to say, please.
Just a few. Thank you very much, Trey, and I appreciate all of the board members, colleagues, Todd, Mike. It's really been a meaningful career, and I'm glad we're all ending it on a high note, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. We truly missed. Is there any other business to come before the BRTB?
Chair, staff has no other business before the BRTB.
All right, thank you. Hearing none, I call for a vote to close the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. The next meeting for the BRTB will be virtual and is scheduled for February 24th. Thank you all. Stay safe and warm.
Thank you all.
Thanks.